at the end of the day, it felt like this whole Detroit Lions, this whole game, I think the narrative going into Dallas, a lot of people for weeks going into it, everyone made these statements talking about Lions going to Dallas. Oh, here we go, as a joke. You know what I mean? Like, we've had the pass interference that got waved off. There's been those jokes and like, oh, here we go again. We're going to Dallas again. And then when we get there, it was like I could not wrap my head around at the end of the game in Dallas, just like we saw years ago, another controversial call. To me, it just felt like it was a setup from the start. The reffing all game, even if it was on both sides, felt like it was completely off. The fact that the NFL had they had the Ring of Honor Jimmy Johnson in primetime, Troy Aikman on the call, and then this whole fiasco happens when the Detroit Lions won that football game. And I'm going to make that very, very clear. The Detroit Lions went out there and they won a football game. I've seen signs all around Detroit driving around on I-75. I saw all of the signs that said 12-4 and then or 11-4 crossed off and saying, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The record mistake. And I've seen that all around. And I think that's how all of us feel. Like, they won that football game. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They went out there, they competed for the full 4 quarters, and they ended up winning the game down the stretch. And the refs, and you know who said it best, actually, is Neil Rule today. The refs went out there. They had a job to be done. This wasn't a missed flag. This wasn't a missed hold. This wasn't a face mask that got missed. This wasn't a block in the back. This wasn't a pass interference that was missed. This was a very, very clear situation in the rule book that the Detroit Lions went by the rule book and executed a play to win the football game. And that main ref, Brad Allen, did not do his job. As everyone else on the Detroit Lions, they did their job all night. They executed everything they needed to do all week. Brad Allen, because one referee decided to not do his job for a 5-second span, it screwed over not just the Detroit Lions, not just the players, not just the coaches, a whole city, a whole downtown, a chance to get a second playoff game and get millions of dollars to this city. They all got screwed over from this as well. This isn't a small mistake from a ref. This isn't a missed pass interference. This is, hey, they did their job correctly. They went by the book. And then Brad Allen messed up. And then after that, the fact that Brad Allen, not just Brad Allen, fellas, the NFL,
yes,
that they had balls of steels to be able to come out and triple down and double down on this situation and say that it was on the Detroit Lions and say it's on the players and go out there and start blaming other people and pointing fingers. Roger Goodell needs to go fix that. I'm going to start wearing my Roger Goodell clown shirt because that's what he is right now. If that's the situation, we're going to go around pointing fingers to the players and the coaches.
What the fuck?
And it's not that they messed up. Because listen, fellas, they ran this exact same play in Green Bay 2 years ago. Other teams in the NFL have done this. Oh, Seattle, I apologize.
All good.
Other teams in the NFL have ran this exact same plays. They have put disguises out there and other offensive linemen around the field to be able to throw the defense off. And just because the NFL and the ref messed up and made a mistake, and now they're trying to cover their butts.
Yeah. Assuming.
And they're just assuming, yes. And we have a lot of evidence. I'm going to go over a lot of evidence because, quite frankly, if we're being honest, when the game got done, I was very mad. I put a lot of tweets out. Somehow all of my tweets went national. And I don't know how it happened. And I was very furious at a couple things because there was a couple zoom-ins and stuff that I found of Brad Allen. And if you guys didn't see today as well, the NFL released a new statement today, and they put a video out showing and explaining the rule. They sent it to all 32 NFL teams to explain the rule, and they did it was like a, do you know like when you started a new job and you have that little 3-minute intro video? It was like one of those.
Like an
and
orientation.
It was explaining the rule book and the rules of it. And within the explanation, they released a brand new angle that none of us saw, of Taylor Decker looking at the ref going like this, the ref turning, running away, and then Dan Skipper coming up after the fact.
While they're on a
Dan Skipper.
Also, while they're on a timeout, so there's no time rush to it. So I continue going.
All around the city of Detroit, the players, the coaches, all of you fans in the chat, everyone that loves Detroit got stolen away a victory on Saturday night. And there's so much money that's going to be taken away from potentially Detroit now because of that. The franchise, everything has been turning right now, man. Like the whole franchise. Sheila has done such a good job to make changes around here. Dan's changed the culture. And then for that to be that setback, that's like, what are we doing here? And we're going to, this segment, when we get to the next couple segments, we're going to get into more about, Dan Campbell moving on from all of that. But, Broder, that was... I'm sorry, I went on a long rant there, but that was just...
I would have cut in if I thought you were
that
off
one
at all.
hit me hard. It hit me hard as well because, obviously doing the stream, we're sitting here. We've been fighting all year. You guys see I do these Kool-Aid videos every single win. And just doing that all year, we're all emotionally invested at this point. And to have a game like that end when you did everything right and you really actually won the football game, and now your season and the playoff, Dan Orlowski said it, the whole playoff structure is all messed up now.
It is.
Nothing, the integrity of the playoff the structure is gone because of that one, it wasn't even a call. All it was a mistake of a guy not doing his job. And he doesn't have to answer to the media. He doesn't have to answer to players, coaches, nothing. He just goes about his day, and guess what? On Sunday or Saturday night, I think it is, guess what? He gets to go ref another primetime game with his crew.
That's
and mess
joke.
Another game up.
Yeah.
When people mess up
The NFL
on the
is a
field,
joke
when
for
the
that.
players mess up, they get benched.
Or they
get fired or cut.
Amon-Ra St. Brown gets a $40,000 fine. That's 20% of his salary.
This wasn't that too. Great point. A running back lowers their head while 10 guys are running at him. They get fined. What hurts for me, and it would have sucked regardless for 24 hours. I would have been over it. And I think a lot of people in Detroit, they'd be pissed, but you'd be over it if they came right out and they took accountability. They said, we screwed up. Yep, you guys did everything perfect. You literally ran the most perfect play. You confused us. It was so good, which is what happened. We're sorry. It happened. We got to move on. But no, they're doubling down. That's the problem I have. How are you going to, the entire world knows, including the Cowboys, they know that that play was perfection.
Yeah.
Perfection. And think about all the time putting into that. And we're going to get into the play. I think at some point here, I'm so impressed at, it taught me a lot about this team, just that one play. Yeah. But to think about how hard they worked all week, all year. This is a play they've been setting up all year with things they do with Dan Skipper, with him reporting, not just throughout the Dallas game, which he did once in the first quarter, but is all throughout the games leading up to it. He reported, it sets up stuff like this. This was what makes Ben Johnson a genius.
Within an hour, they had a statement out of him making excuses and doubling down that Dan Skipper reported to him.
Exactly.
When the Lions had 8 press conferences, and we're going to get into some of those videos next, but they had all those press conferences saying that Taylor Decker reported. And Dan's like, Dan Skipper, I never reported. What are we doing here, man?
Skipper, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, Dan Campbell. I also said this is what.
So they're all
we prepared.
lying.
Yeah.
What are we?
That's what I'm saying.
saying.
They're saying you 5 people, your team, you guys are liars.
Yeah.
You guys are liars. That's what they're saying to the Detroit Lions.
The video that they released today, in the video, it basically said it's on the players to make sure it's correct. It's not on the refs, which is all BS.
It's on the ref to do his job.
Then another thing is Brad Allen, he has a history. I don't know if you guys seen the video. He has a history of these blown calls. And it just seems like I heard that they're taking him off the playoff crew for this season. But that's not a good enough punishment if you ask me. You say he's about to turn around and ref a primetime game. And then the thing that gets me is Dan Campbell walked through this pregame with Brad Allen. So to be on the lookout for this play, we're going to do this, and I'm pretty sure he told them who was going to be reporting on that said play. So that's what gets me about this whole thing. They knew about this from the jump. And the fact that they just blow this call and he comes out and says, 70 reports, but he's running off the sideline. He clearly couldn't report. Taylor Decker's in your face. It's so BS to me, but in a long line of just Lions BS calls that the NFL just seems to love to do to us and create new rules on us. It's garbage, man.